Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's kind of been a little bit, a little over a week or somewhat, but it's kind of been slow. Haven't been watching anything new, but today I do have something new to talk about. Season 3 of Invincible just ended, so I'm kind of here just to talk about it real quick. Not going to go into depth really, because that's what this podcast episode is going to be about this week. So if you want me to go into more depth about the characters or what happens in this season, please go check that out on Wednesday, 12 p.m. The Cinema Boys. If you haven't seen our podcast yet, I really do urge you to go see it. I do enjoy talking about movies, and me and Devin just started it to have fun. So yeah, last movie we talked about was Mickey 17. And if you have any tips for us to get better, just let us know, and I'm sure we'll listen because we're just trying to figure everything out. But let's just get right into the video. Alright, so just to give an overview, I thought Season 3 was very good, damn near amazing, and the writing is immaculate. But before I really get into what I like about it, I kind of want to just get into the main criticism people have, and that's about the animation. Which it's not terrible at all. I wouldn't complain about it, but I also don't watch that many animated television shows. But people also have to think like the time frame and the team that they have working on it. Amazon doesn't really spend their time on Invincible as they should, because I feel like it is definitely one of their most popular shows, definitely at this time. So they should spend more money and have a bigger team to do the animation style. And we still get Invincible, a season a year. So for the animation to look as good as it does still, it is pretty good. I mean, especially you see it in the last two episodes for sure, the talent that the team can bring. But they also just want to focus on the story and giving us as much Invincible as possible, because obviously fans like to complain about everything, and they also don't like to wait. So they don't want us to wait any longer than we have to, so they just want to start popping the story out. And they're going to focus on more like the emotional episodes than just all of the episodes throughout the season, which is kind of sucks, because I wish the animation style was just better throughout those first 6 episodes. But yet again, it would take a longer time, and people are very impatient. Just like the scene where Oliver kills the Molitor twins, I wish that had a little more attention to it, and just scenes like that. But I just kind of wanted to gloss over the main criticism. It's not really a huge criticism, because I feel like the show could look worse than it does, but I'm just glad that it looks decently okay, and it has an immaculate story that obviously just is going to overshadow the animation and make people really like Invincible. Okay, the first big thing I want to talk about of this season is obviously Oliver. This is the more mixed, because I don't know if I really like him. Same with the comics, but obviously in this season he gets his superpowers very quickly, gets his suit, and then starts calling himself Kid Omni-Man. And they kind of delve into his relationship with Earth, how he kind of doesn't fit there, and he doesn't have our emotions and doesn't connect with the people, so doesn't really care for them, and kind of has the same emotions or thoughts that Omni-Man did when he was fighting Mark to take over the planet. So basically this obviously leads to him killing the Mauler twins, and Mark has to deal with this. And that's the best thing, is Mark trying to deal with Oliver, trying to show him what's good. And obviously throughout the season, this is one of the darkest times in Mark's life. So it's kind of has the opposite effect, where what Oliver is saying, it actually kind of gets to Mark in a way, after dealing with, so many different versions of himself, and then fighting Conquest not even weeks later. I mean, it was a week in the show, and it was days in the comics. There's barely any breaks in between, and then whatever Oliver is saying just gets to Mark finally, and he says that he needs to not hold back and kill anybody that threatens him or his family. And it just puts Mark in a really dark tone. I do like that. But Oliver himself, he's just kind of a brat. I can't really connect with him because, like I said, he doesn't connect with humans. I'm a human myself, if you didn't notice. But yeah, he just seems like a little brat. I did enjoy the scene of him like playing and skateboarding with friends, and then pantsing the bullies. I did enjoy that because it showed some humanity to Oliver, which the comic books didn't really dive into. So that was a very delightful scene. But other than that, like, Oliver just really hates humanity, and just tries to save people because he looks up to his brother and wants to prove himself to his brother. So yeah, Oliver is a good character overall. He's just kind of a brat to me. He's there to help Mark go through things and help him through his emotions. I also like what they did with Adam Eve. They put her in more situations with Mark and the family and them dealing with their relationship and how that happens because they're both superheroes and how they kind of have to work around that as they both want to save the world the best they can. And it's just a more interesting relationship than definitely Mark and Amber was, I feel like. You also just, the situation she's put in with Oliver, she's just integrated more with the family. It gives her more of a meaning to not just Mark, but more of the family. As in the comic books, it didn't really show that. But I'm enjoying watching Adam, Eve, and Mark. I love both of them in the comic books. And Adam Eve is just a dog, definitely in this show. She could be, or definitely is, like one, if not the most powerful superhero on the planet. So I really hope they do more with her in the story. I know some bad things happen in the future in the comics. I don't know if they'll change anything up because the comics could be a little dated, but I hope they keep some things with Adam Eve because it could be a story that is very helpful to people. But yeah, I enjoy what they're doing with her, especially what happened at the Rex's funeral. I'll talk about Rexplode a little bit later, but she was very emotional, and it just showed how much she cared for Rex, even though they didn't even have the best bonds until like season 3, I guess, or the end of season 2 when Rex changed as a person, had his full character arc. Just to watch him die, very sad to see, and all their emotions, especially Ray crying at the funeral. That almost broke my heart. But let's just go talk to Rexplode now. So obviously Rex was very sad to see die, but he shined throughout the show. He got his moments, especially in season 2 when he was completing his arc of becoming a better guy. Even his douchebag antics at the beginning was kind of entertaining, but he was just a really good character overall, and it was sad for him to see him go. But the way he did it, he sacrificed himself, and he helped the Guardians of the Globe live, especially Robot. And his relationship with Ray, which was new because Shrinking Ray was a dude and died in the comics, but his relationship with Ray in the show was very emotional. And as I was a comic reader, I knew like the time was coming. So when he was talking to Ray on the doorstep and he was like, "Give me some, mama," or something like that, I was like, no. Like, they made this such an emotional talk with Ray just to set him up to die. And it was terrible. And then obviously at the funeral, like I said, her crying, breaking down was sad as Rudy takes Rex's name, which I do not agree with. That's kind of weird. I get that Rudy, Robot, may look up to Rex in some weird way, but I do not like that, especially the people around you. I feel like it would just be weird, especially for Adam Eve and duplicate people like that were actually involved with Rex, just to start calling Rudy that. But very sad, the saddest part about this season. R.I.P. Rex, you will never be forgotten, my guy. Then the last few parts I wanted to talk about was the last 2 episodes, obviously the War of Marks and then the Conquest fight. A few things I did skip over was just Alan Omni-Man escaping from the Viltrumite prison. That just shows them becoming friends, and kind of shows Alan's strength, and shows how important and strong Battle Beast will also become in the future, as he also does get picked up by aliens at the end of the final episode. So he definitely is an important character later on. So is Tech Jacket, which you see in the War of Marks, but doesn't get an introduction yet. Can't wait until they do. There are speculations about it being a girl, which I kind of did notice that about the costume while fighting one of the Viltrumite marks. So yeah. So obviously these two last episodes have the best animation throughout the seasons, which makes sense because these are the main important events. And I just love it because the War of Marks, it just messes with Mark's head. It definitely shows it more in the comics, but it shows it in here too. He basically blames himself for the devastation. Like, even though it wasn't him, it was different versions of him that were evil, that destroyed cities around the world, and he kind of takes blame for that. So watching him fight the Marks, he did really good. Like I said, Mark's worst thing is getting distracted. He easily wins fights if he doesn't get distracted. He was 2v1ing until Adam Eve got hurt, and then he had to rush her to the GDA hospital. But he could easily beat Marks, and obviously he took down Mohawk Mark by himself until he started getting jumped by the other heroes, which I wonder... it would make sense because their thoughts are like, oh, another one, gotta kill another one. It would just be weird now, like, knowing that you're working with the good one. Like, I don't know if I could give it that, because my mind would just be broke. How would you not know if he was acting good? Especially the one that attacks Adam Eve. Like, at first, what happens if she thought that he was the real Mark, of course, but... Anyways, this episode was very entertaining, watching 18 or something like that marks just cause havoc. Most of them dying, of course, until they finally had enough of Angstrom controlling them, and they fought back with the leadership of Sinister Mark, and then got sent to the desert dimension where Mark ended up last time when the Guardians of the Globe saved them. So... episode was delightful. I wish we saw Mark fight more. But yeah, next to the Conquest fight, this is where we see how strong Viltrumites are. Oliver tries to fight, does not last long. It just shows that he's a kid. Like, he may be strong, but compared to the others, he's just a kid. You watch Mark do way better than he did against Anissa, finally showing us that he actually got stronger and not just saying it. And Adam Eve basically dying and setting Mark off to have, like, one of the best fights of all time. This episode was definitely one of the best episodes of Invincible so far. I saw that IGN rated like a 4. That's a joke, because this was just so emotional, so badass. This is one of the best fights in the comics so far. I haven't finished it, so I don't know. And it is the best fight in the show so far. Mark breaks both of his hands, so he has to use his head and just caves Conquest's head in. I know he survives the battle, but it's just so crazy. And it definitely shows you the devastation, again, as the comics don't really show, but Mark getting thrown into people. You see the people around it that are injured when Mark's getting thrown through buildings, showing the devastations of just the normal people trying to work in this universe. And I was thinking, I was like, dang, I would not like living in that world. Even though my city may not be affected because I don't live in a huge city, just watching that on the news, especially once a month, it looks like, that would be terrifying, and I would hate that. But Mark beats Conquest, apparently one of the strongest Viltrumites, showing how strong Mark has become over the last 3 seasons, and I love that. So let's just go give my final thoughts. So as I said, it was one of my favorite seasons. If I were to rate it, I would probably rate it like a 9.5 out of 10, very highly. But it was a very good season to watch. Definitely amped up towards the end, and I'm excited what comes next season. As I'm a comic book reader, and how fast they've been going through the comics, I will know what is coming. I'm so excited. I know I have a little bit of a wait, but if you haven't watched Invincible yet and you're watching this video, I don't know what you're doing here, but go watch it. Very good. Obviously, if you have watched Invincible, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments down below. But yeah, if you like this video, please leave a like. And if you like my content I provide overall, subscribe if you guys will. This was just a quick rundown, like I said. If you want more into like the show, more conversation about it, there will be an episode on my podcast, The Cinema Boys with Devin, out this Wednesday at 12 p.m. So until then, have a great time, guys.